This next section of Project 1 Stage 1 is going to cover bringing more images in and stacking them and creating multiple layers. We're going to open next the file Storm. Once you have that open, you want to take a look at the image size, and you'll see that this is at 180 pixels per inch, but the size is much wider than what we need. We could go ahead and resize this in here at this point, but we don't need to. We're going to say OK to that, and then going into Window, we want to go to our arrangement and pick up 2 up vertical. Now we can see the images side by side. We're going to simply drag this layer in and place it on top of that layer. However, to do that, make sure you have your Move tool selected, and you're going to need to unlock your background layer. Then you can simply click on that layer and drag it onto the other file, and you can center it in your image and see how it has resized to fit. We can actually drag this around to use whichever section of that we would like. But once you have that brought in, we can then close the Storm JPEG, and you don't need to save any changes to it. So now we're going to see that in our Layers panel, we have 2 layers. We have the background, which is the bricks, and then we have the Storm layer. We want to save, and you will see that there's going to be a maximize compatibility dialog that comes up and gives you a little warning. It's perfectly fine. It's got to do with the fact that we're saving this as a Photoshop file, which is going to be able to support the layers. Next, we're going to open up the Skyline JPEG. We're going to pick up the rectangular marquee, and notice that as you do so, you're going to get a change in your options bar. We're going to pick up a new selection. You can add to a selection, subtract to a selection, or select only overlapping areas. This is kind of like the Pathfinder tool in Illustrator where you combine 2 items. Well, this is combining 2 selections. We want to click to select a section of the city that is going to start at the top corner, and we're going to drag out to select approximately 8.5 inches wide. So pull out to somewhere around 8.5 inches. And you can't go larger, so this is going to snap to the edges. So if you drag outside of the edge like this, you're going to be constrained. You can only pick up what is on this within the image. You can't pick up outside the image. We're going to move our selection marquee, and we can do that as long as we are still within the marquee. We will get the pink horizon line. Now we're going to choose to subtract from a selection. We don't need to have the water for the image that we're going to create, so just click to drag and we can remove the water, and all we have now is a selection of the city and the skyline. And now go to Edit, Copy, go back to Aftermath, and paste. It will automatically center the item on the document window. And we've created another new layer. You can close Skyline without saving it. Next, we're going to bring in a vector file. We want to open up Title and place what's in there inside. So we're going to open Title, and this is an Illustrator file. Because Illustrator uses PDF as the underlying file structure, we're going to open this up and we'll get a PDF dialog box. We want to select the crop area. Are we cropping to the bounding box, a crop box, a bleed box, trim, or an art box? For our purposes, we're going to leave this on bounding box. And we're going to change the width field because we don't need it that wide. We're going to take this down to 8 inches, and because it's chained, it's automatically going to change the height and make sure that our resolution is 300. And then we can say OK, and that's going to open the file. Next, we're going to go to Select All, which is going to pick up everything in that layer. Or you could do a Control A, and we're going to edit copy, and we're going to edit paste. Then you can click the close and say no to changes and continue. And we've added another layer. We're going to place an item in rather than copying and pasting it. This will create a smart object. So next it's going to go to File, Place as Embedded. You have choices between a regular place as embedded or place as linked, and that's going to give you options for whether you can make changes to the item within the file that we're creating, or if you want changes that you've made outside of that file to be reflected in this one that we're working on. We're going to pick up the Lightning JPEG, and we're going to select Place. We have to either hit Enter or the check mark at the top for the Commit button to accept the placement. And if you look at the icon, you will see that there's a little thing in there which indicates this is a smart object. So if we have any changes made to that original JPEG, when we reopen this file, the changes will take effect as well. We're going to place another file, go to File, Place Embedded again, and select Rating. This is an AI file, so it's another vector image. We have the same options in placing as we did in opening the Illustrator file. So this time again we're doing bounding box and saying OK. Before you select to commit this or hit the Enter key, change your height and width to 100%. They're linked, so they should change together. They may not, so make sure you do them and hit Enter to make the change, and then select your Commit button to accept it. Usually the place files are scaled perfectly, but it's always good to double check it to make sure it's correct. And again, do the same thing with Tantamount. Mine came in slightly off, so again, 100, tab over, 100, enter to select or to accept that, and then click the check mark to select that again. This is a good place to save.